everybody, Chris here with a special edition of the Comic Font. Objectivism, by its most boiled down definition, is the belief that certain things, especially moral truths and moral absolutes, exist independently of human knowledge or perception of them. Everything is black and white. No shades of gray, no nuances, no nothing. This is illustrated in Ayn Rand's writings, especially The Fountainhead, Atlas Shrugged, all the books you have to read in school that you gotta figure out why you gotta read it, but you're reading it anyway. One such believer of Ayn Rand's school of objectivism was comic book creator Steve Ditko, who passed away recently. It's hard to get a beat on Steve Ditko sometimes because he's not known for giving interviews. He was a private person, rarely let people into his inner world. He had little regard for his past work. He always liked to focus on the present stuff. There's a story about him that he used original Spider-Man artwork as a cutting board for his other projects. Now, as collectors, we probably go like, how dare he? Does he know how much stuff is worth? How much we would pay for this stuff? Thing is, it's his property. He can do what he wants. And like I said, he wants to live in the now, as it were, so dwelling in the past was kind of an alien concept for him. At least that's my take on it. Now, everyone knows who he helped create. For Marvel, there was Spider-Man, of course, Doctor Strange, Squirrel Girl, and for DC, there was Shade the Changing Man, Hawk and Dove. There's a version of Starman he worked on, and he did a 2-issue run of Man-Bat that I enjoyed, but my personal favorite that he created, The Creeper. And for Charlton Comics back in the Silver Age, he did Captain Atom, Nightshade, did a new version of Blue Beetle, and a hero that's as close as we can get to what Steve Ditko is all about. The Question. Introduced in Blue Beetle comics back in 1967, the Question fought crime, but with a more violent streak than other heroes of that time. His alter ego was Vic Sage, an aggressive and outspoken investigative journalist. When he fights crime, he uses a mask made of a synthetic skin called pseudoderm to blank out his well-known facial features. The mask stayed in place through a bonding gas, which also changed the color of his hair and clothes. Yeah, I know, Silver Age goodness, am I right? The Question is a variation of an earlier creation of Ditko's named Mr. A. Mr. A was a journalist who fought crime, but with a stark black and white attitude that illustrates the objectivism that Ditko believed in. Mr. A made his first appearance in Wally Wood's underground comic Wit's End back in 1967. Ditko once stated that The Question is a comic code's authority-approved version of Mr. A. Alan Moore used The Question as a template for Rorschach in his 12-issue series The Watchmen. Moore wrote him with the same black and white viewpoint of The Question, and including the mask where no one can see his face, with shifting black and white patterns, never blending, never a gray area, to reflect the objectivism of the hero. Moore said that, according to a third-party source, Ditko said that Rorschach was like The Question, but insane. In doing some research for this, I found a 5-minute or so snippet of Ditko talking about how objectivism influenced his work. Ayn Rand, Aristotle, and all that. The link is below if you want to hear from the man himself about his philosophies and on superheroes in general. I also included a link to the first appearance of The Question so you can read for yourself and see what you think. This issue also includes Ditko's first appearance of the Ted Kord Blue Beetle, so it's a double dose of Ditko goodness. Now, whether you agree or disagree with Ditko's political stances and his Randian viewpoints, well, that's up to you. Personally, I don't agree. But again, that's just me. My disagreement with his viewpoints does not take away from my admiration of his contributions to art and to pop culture. Steve Ditko will go down as one of the top comic book creators of all time, and I consider myself lucky to be around this time. For all the things he did, for all the accolades he'd have earned, he always wanted just a private life, just to be left alone to do his work. They really focused on his past work, just what he wants to do now and for the future. At least is my take on the situation on that. For all the stuff he's talked about, for all the stuff he stands for and believes in, you can't escape that imagination of his. I mean, the landscapes, the artwork from Doctor Strange itself is just like totally out there. His drawings of Rack Shade, the Changing Man, I mean, incredibly visual, incredibly stunning. His simplicity of line, his lean looks and all, really added to Spider-Man. In fact, when Stan Lee first came up with Spider-Man, he wanted Jack Kirby to do the drawing, but Kirby drew him too bulky, too raw, too superhero-y, big bulky stuff. So I turned over to Steve Ditko, who is known for his lean looks, and nailed it. And thanks to him, we got great Spider-Man, we got great villains, we got great story arcs, and just wonderful writing, wonderful reading, wonderful artwork. Steve Ditko may not believe that he didn't have much impact on comic book world, but I do appreciate what he's done for us, and for art, and for objectivism, I guess. Steve Ditko, rest in peace. You earned it. This is Chris with the Comic Font signing off. And just remember to check out your local comic shop every Wednesday for New Comic Book Day. Y'all take care.